What's up, everybody? It's Mango Thunder Slice. I just tried to make another Hidden History of Humanity video and just kind of got lost while making it. And, I have too much respect for you guys and enough respect for myself that I am not going to go forth with a topic unless I feel like I have a good enough grasp of it, I feel like that's fair to me, fair to you. So I'm just going to wait on the huge topic, and I decided I'll instead just keep the ball rolling nevertheless, and just come out here and smoke a joint and just kind of babble into the camera, because I'm researching a whole bunch of different things at once, and the hardest thing isn't understanding all the different things, it's just trying to figure out how to condense it into a message where all of them have something to do with one another. Of course, all things are connected, right, in this universe, but our language is designed to divide us, right? English is a language designed to compartmentalize its speakers, right? And, it doesn't have to be that way. English, in its truest form is a very sing-song poetic language, but, it's just that now it's the language of the empire, right? And it's really hard to convey topics, metaphysical, spiritual topics within the English language. I just want to talk about this racist shit, right? Like, there's the eclipse with the sun and the moon converging, and then there's this fight between McGregor and, what's his name, Mayweather, right? And it's like, there's YouTube is partnering up with the Anti-Defamation League, and they just, I guess, censored, like, the first video, and it's just a scientific video, like, his scientific video. But people try to call me Nazi just for saying that. But basically, it's just this white, scholarly dude, and he's coming out and talking about the different IQ distributions of black people and white people and Asians and different races. And he's not even, like, coming out with, like, any sort of, like, bigoted type speech. I can see why people would find his speech offensive, right? But the guy's just trying to convey information, right? And I'm not saying that he's not racist, right? He might be racist. I don't know. Like, people and their emotional persuasions and prejudices is almost totally disconnected from their ability to comprehend information. I know people that can do pretty large computational math in their head, and they're still dumb as shit when it comes to other things, right? Like, I may not be able to do huge computational math, but I can do basic math pretty well, and I can do a bunch of other things pretty well. People consider me stupid. I don't consider me stupid, right? So, without talking about whether or not the IQ test is a good test of intelligence or any of that, it's like, why are we trying to make all individuals of the human race equal in outcome? Like, first of all, that's ridiculous on its face. Second of all, like, it's only a result of this fake-ass materialist culture where we're all just trying to define ourselves by the universal standard of the moon energy, money, right? This control grid. And if that's our governing standard, then yeah, it's like, in general, people who are able to do more intelligent tasks, who have higher IQs, are probably going to make more money. That doesn't necessarily mean they're more valuable to the human race. That doesn't mean they're more valuable in terms of artistic production, there's so many other things that matter, right? Besides just linear left brain intelligence, right? And, there's cultural factors at work, but the guy's main point is that even beyond all the cultural factors, there is still a difference in the IQ of people of different races. And again, I'm not saying that that should exist or it exists because, like, white people are superior, whatever, any of this bullshit, right? I don't know, man. Truth is, all the Nazis, they think, well, so the cult of the Aryan, right? They think the Hyperboreans were living at the top of the world, right? And, there was a cataclysm, and basically the Hyperboreans had to leave the top of the world. They came down into Middle Earth, right? And they kind of invaded all these other nations trying to find a new homeland because they lost theirs, right? And among these people were the blonde, and the blue-eyed, and the redhead genes even, And, even other nations like, India, right, Tibet, like the high Himalayan cultures, right, Japan even, like, they trace their descent from the same sort of storylines, along the same mythological storylines, right? So this isn't just all about white people, okay? And it's not even just all about culture. It's about that there was literally 2 different species existing on this planet. One at the top of the world, right, who became known as the gods, Elohim, right, and then the rest of humanity, which was in the belt around the planet. When both places were kind of tropical paradises, when the planet was aligned with Saturn, that's as the theory goes. But the top of the world was receiving the light of the gods. They had the world tree, they had the pillar, right, so they were literally taking in energy from space, okay? So, you know, that could have caused an accelerated development, you know, and I believe that intelligence really is a function of energy, you know, and people cultivate energy within themselves. It is a, you know, a culture of cultivation, right? And again, these are biological terms. What else is a culture, right? Like in a petri dish, a culture. So our culture is that which, you know, is our identity, that which strengthens us, you know, and we all have different stories within the big story, but we are all part of the big story, right? So we can all get down with the big story, and that's why I bring this information, because, you know, it transcends the bullshit. Like, someone in India can get excited about this Hyperborean story the same as me who's Irish, because, yeah, and, you know, I'm not saying I can speak for all the races here, you know, obviously I can only speak for myself, you know, but through empathy I can see where other people are coming from. And it's just, you know, this thing stops when we make it stop, and, you know, I don't know. It's okay for white people to be proud of where they come from. It's not okay for white people to say that, like, Jews will not replace us, and, you know, this all this crazy shit, okay? Like, I'm not saying that that conflict doesn't exist, or that there's no Khazarian mafia running the banking system, or any of that, okay? Well, there's a real situation, but we don't win that situation. We don't graduate from that situation as long as we're fighting inside of it, right? That's the game. That's the game that's been set up for us to play. So if we play that game, we lose by default, right? Mayweather might get, you know, money for beating what's his name, McGregor, but we win when the 2 fighters start fighting the same enemy, which is death and darkness itself, which is the force of, you know, basically inhumanity, of unlife, right? That which just wants to see the world burn and destroyed. We can both fight against that. I think. I would think we should be able to fight against that together. You know, let's throw our punches into a hurricane, right? Let's start them in a spiral, okay? Because that's why they're playing this shit. They're desperate. They know we're onto them. They know that people are awakening. Are we a majority? No, but didn't take a majority to start the American Revolution the first time. It's not going to take a majority to start the second. You know, so, I don't know. Just, I got to reiterate, be cool, honey bunny. Like, this is all a game. This is all a riot. And they're just trying to mindfuck everybody with all this racial stuff, right? And, you know, those who are of general low Q of all the races, there's plenty of dumbass white people, plenty of dumbass black people, plenty of dumbass Mexicans. There's even some dumbass Asians. You know, and those are the people who are playing into this whole racial civil war mentality right now. The rest of us, we need to be working on bringing that higher triangular point of harmony, right? Because that's the true master race, is the superhuman who has graduated from duality and is able to provide energy to his fellow man. You know, a lot of what determines health inside the individual body, right, is the acid-alkaline balance, right? So, if your body is acidic, right, you got inflammation, you got pain, right? You get, you know, a little bit of problem, and it just gets worse and worse and worse because the body's literally on fire. Okay, nobody has any energy. None of the cells have any energy to give. It's scarcity, and everybody's out for number one. Who's that? You know, each cell is taking energy from each other. But if we can make the body alkaline, right, that's literally a negative charge throughout the body. That means everybody's got money to spare. That means all the cells are like, hey, bro, you need an electron? Here, bro, you look like you're pretty inflamed. Let me give you some electrons, bro. And so problems get stopped before they ever start within the body that is in alkaline state. Because all the cells have money to blow, right? They've got energy to share. You know, they've got the culture established. So, my point is, is that we are cells, right? We are the cells of the gods, and ourselves, we are the gods of ourselves, right? And I resolve to be a benevolent god, or at least a fair god to my cells, mostly benevolent, you know. But the point is that what are you going to be? Are you going to be a free radical going and bashing people's faces in with bike locks because you're fighting fascism or whatever contrived bullshit you made up, right? You're going to be fighting against, you know, this made-up enemy. And again, this applies to the right, too. Like, the Jews will not replace us. Like, give me the fucking break. Like, if you're really the master race, how did you get replaced in the first place? You know? And, you know, I'm just trying to rustle people's feathers because, you know, I believe that, you know, the Irish are one of the core aspects of the ancient Aryan bloods. Like, I don't think that that's like a master race. I think that we all have this one human history. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody. But, I mean, Aire, the ancient name for Ireland, is Aria. is Aryan, right? And it goes to the constellation of Orion, right? So, at the top of the world was fixed Saturn. Behind Saturn was the sun. But behind the sun, there is a force that powers the sun. That's what the electric universe guys are always talking about. The force that powers the sun. So it's like our sun is like a melon growing on a vine, right? And that vine leads somewhere. That vine has a root, right? It doesn't just wander on endlessly throughout space. It's got a root. It connects somewhere to some other source of energy, maybe beyond what we know of as this perceivable universe. But what our ancients were telling us, what Michelangelo was telling us in the Sistine Chapel, you know, and Danny Wilton is a great YouTube channel for this, but basically what our ancients appear to have been telling us is that the source of power for our sun is in the constellation of Orion. It's in the Orion Nebula underneath, south of Orion's belt. So the people at the world weren't just taking in the energy of Saturn. They were taking in the energy of Orion, right? Aryan, right? The Aryan people, the Orion people. And Orion is a hunter, right? Who hunts in humans? The ones who eat animals. Why would humans eat animals if they're designed to eat fruit? Well, because the climate shifted. Because it was an ice age. Aryan the hunter at the top of the world. It was a cataclysm, and we fruit eaters had to learn how to be predators. Had to learn how to be dominators. Had to learn how to kill to survive. And that wasn't our nature. But because we had to, we did it. And the thing is, now we're moving into a whole new dimension. The Earth is going into uncharted territory. Well, I guess it's all cycles. I guess we've been here at some point before, but we've never been at this point here now before. So, you know, we don't, these dominator archetypes, these dominator narratives, these predator narratives, they no longer serve us. Okay? My energy has expanded by multiple, like, leaps and bounds, orbitals, since I started accepting that I'm not a predator, that I'm actually, that my source is the sun, right? That's my source of energy. And I don't have to kill to take it. I don't have to kill anything. I mean, I guess harvest a vegetable, you kill the vegetable. You know, animals just storing up condensed sunlight from the food delivery. But if I wait till sunset and I put my feet on bare earth and establish an electrical ground connection in my body, I can stare at the sun in the last hour of the day and the first hour of the day. There's 0% UV index. You can read it in the newspaper. It's just full spectrum bright white light, right? And our ancients, they weren't just eating different food, okay? The people of Arya, the people at the top of the world, they received their sustenance from the gods. They received their sustenance from the sun. They were consuming pure starlight. So is it any wonder that there's a difference in intelligence and engineering ability and different, you know, just incentives and different proclivities among the people who lived at the top of the world, just sun gazing and you know, riding reindeer all over the place, like versus the people who were living in Middle Earth, also a paradise, having a great time, but they didn't have their world destroyed, at least not back then, by the cataclysm that destroyed Hyperborea. They were just living a tribal identity. They didn't have to stress. And honestly, a culture that doesn't have to stress is not going to be as clever as one that has to be maniacal and psychopathic to survive. So it's like, the thing you bemoan white people for is their extreme cleverness and their manipulation, right? That they're demons, right? The whitey's and Whitey is just a demon, right? And he's just clever and he's a trickster, right? And that's a function of intelligence, right? So you're now jealous of the fact that the white people tricked you? Like, again, there's all these subconscious narratives playing out, and when you just smoke a joint and hang out and ask yourself these questions, it starts to become a little clearer. You wouldn't think things would become clear when you smoke weed. Maybe those of you who don't smoke weed, but you'd be very surprised. And you will be very surprised when you finally learn to stop being afraid and trust that this universe is alive, is conscious, is wonderful, and it loves you, baby. And it's just wondering when you're going to wake up from your bullshit. Wholeness and balance, brothers. Hope you have a great day, a great week, and a great lifetime. And when I can put together the real video, I actually managed to give you most of the information in this one, so I guess it all works out. Maybe I should just do this format a little bit more now that I've established the basics of the hidden history of humanity. But in any case, you guys are awesome. Love you. Cheers.